Chasing it, but this console's got more shrapnel in it than transceivers. You didn't answer my question.
You want to know if we're losing?
I know we're losing. I want to know if we've lost.
Hey guys, it's Al from Total Garble, and today, I gotta be honest, it's difficult to be a Halo fan. No, we aren't persecuted, and no, Halo isn't technically deader than the Half-Life series. But that said, it feels like we keep getting blue-balled from having this franchise we once looked up to as the pinnacle of video game fandom reach its former glory. And no, I don't mean that blue-balled. I feel like the closest we've gotten to that Halo 3 reached level of hype was about a year or two before Halo Infinite's release. But much like the Storm Covenant of Halo 4, I knew that we were trying to hang on to a glory that had long since passed us by. Truth be told, I've been in a real Halo-y kind of mood as of late. I bought the Master Chief helmet from GameStop, I've rewatched all the live-action trailers with my wife, and I'm currently replaying Halo 5's campaign for the first time since 2016 on a harder difficulty. So that said, despite the levels of hype and nostalgia I'm feeling, why do I and many other Halo fans have this pit of sorrow in our stomach when we think about the series at the moment? Well, we have to take a look back at the beginning to see why we've ended up the way we are now. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole Bungie was founded 10,000 years ago in the forges of Valhalla speech. You've probably heard this story before from other YouTube channels. So to quickly summarize, Bungie was bought by Microsoft a long time ago in the early 2000s, and launched Halo alongside the original Xbox. From there they would go to release Halos 2, 3 ODST, and finishing off with Halo Reach. And though they had some bumps along the way, Halo grew a strong and healthy franchise that would rival even the greats of the PlayStation 3. After Halo Reach, for creative reasons, Bungie jumped ship with Microsoft and went to Activision as a publisher, which is a story in and of itself. But this left Halo without a creator, so Microsoft had to fill in the gap and create their own studio to continue the franchise. People were a bit on the fence, but were willing to give them a shot. The first attempt was a remastered Halo Combat Evolved, and though it kind of went under the radar, it wasn't without its fair share of problems. Nevertheless, people were still excited for the return of Master Chief and seeing where the next adventure would take him in Halo 4. Sadly, however, this is where the story takes a dark turn. Between the polarizing changes brought in Halo 4 and the controversial story brought in Halo 5, 343 had garnered a reputation with Halo and not a particularly good one. Add on top of that the botched Master Chief Collection launch and shifts in leadership, and 343 was having a very, very rough time. That said, things felt different in the year 2018. 343 dropped a teaser for Halo Infinite, and the community quickly came out of hibernation. Fans were speculating what happened since Halo 5, and what role the Banished from Halo Wars 2 were going to play, and hype for the series was slowly starting to grow again. That said, as the game was approaching release after countless delays, the flags started to pop up. No playable elites, no split screen, no campaign co-op at launch, no Forge mode at launch, no firefight mode at launch, and no environment variety and campaign were just a few of the things that had been marked up while Infinite was being pushed for a holiday 2021 release. The game did a quote beta launch unquote of its multiplayer on early November 15th, 2021, available to the whole public, not just flight testers. And though there were obvious issues with it, people were willing to forgive it due to the early release. However, the game was plagued with bugs, the progression system being challenges only, and the store launching fully intact with outrageous asking prices for pieces of armor, vehicle skins, etc. Sexa fans defended these issues as well as previous issues, saying that 1. It's a free-to-play multiplayer, bad excuse in my opinion. 2. It's a beta, so it'll have a day 1 patch, that's not guaranteed and did not happen. And 3, though people will deny it, everyone and their sister said, no more delays. We're tired of the wait, it's been 6 years, we want the game, we don't care about the issues. I know because I was there, debating these people. And though Infinite did release to mixed reviews, it did feel like it was a step back in the right direction versus the theme and tone of Halos 4 and 5. And here we are, current day. Yes, people still do play Infinite, but the number has dropped significantly since launch. As of this recording, Infinite has an average of around 6,000-ish players on Steam, and that number could potentially be higher on Xbox. The only statistics I have for Xbox as of this recording is that Infinite is the 4th most played game on the console, under Fortnite, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and Apex Legends. To make matters worse, seasons were being extended from 3 months to 6 months at a time, and the multiplayer is still facing a variety of issues. Theater and custom games are practically unusable, and Forge is not coming out until fall, though I'm personally saying it's going to be the year 2023. Naturally, fans are upset. Even the most die-hard fans and YouTubers are voicing their concerns or straight up leaving the franchise.
This place used to be the crown jewel. Not anymore.
I don't fully blame 343, at least not as a whole, however. It sounds like most of the people there are just contract programmers that are caught in the middle trying to actually fix the game, that are probably going to be dropped in about a year or so. And from various videos and resources, it sounds like the issue lies between the terrible mismanagement at 343 and Microsoft really wanting that holiday 2021 release. With these two problems, the game was bound to release with a lot of issues, despite having legends like Joe Staten and other ex-Bungie employees come to work on the project. So you gotta ask yourself, where does that leave your boy Al from Total Garble? Truth be told, I'm surprisingly still in a Halo mood as of late. I don't know if that's because it's my nerd flavor of the month, or if it's because I actually have a hope for the series I love. Now, I will say I do have recommendations for 343, if they are willing to listen. From what Joe says, it sounds like they do. And no, I'm not going to talk about the Halo TV show. I haven't seen it, so I can't properly judge it. However, I'm 50-50 on doing a video for that, because, oh boy, from what I have seen, it makes me curious. But that's a story for another day. So, I'll only be talking about the multiplayer and the campaign. Full disclosure, I have not played the campaign, and the reason why is because I really want to play it on co-op with a friend. And everybody who told me that it was an issue that they weren't releasing with co-op should just wait until the game is patched so they didn't have to wait for the game to come out. So take that as you will. However, I have heard things about the campaign, but from the cutscenes and story that I've seen as well as gameplay footage, I can safely say I think that Halo Infinite really was a step back into those Bungie shoes that were left back in 2010. So without further ado, I'll start on the list of things I would hope 343 would be willing to listen and address. Number 1. The first thing is they need to come out saying they are changing the roadmap and things are not well at 343. They keep beating around the bush, and I have no idea why. For some reason, they were transparent as hell before the release of Infinite, saying what was not going to be there, what was happening, and giving direct feedback to the fans. However, it feels like since Halo Infinite's release, it's been very hush-hush. And besides tweets from Joe Staten and a few other 343 employees, we really don't hear too much about it. At least from what I've seen. Now, that said, I would say that you need to come forward and say that the roadmap is going to have to change. I know I personally want co-op to experience the campaign, but that is not the highest priority. Forge and fixing custom games needs to be priority 1, and here's why. Despite the amount of people in the comments section I read back in 2021 that said Forge isn't a big deal since those people personally didn't build on it personally, people probably didn't realize or didn't remember that Forge helped carry Halo 3, Reach, and 5 near the end. These community maps and game modes offered a great deal of replayability and helped boost those games to being some of the most memorable in terms of having a good time with friends and enjoying one's childhood. So please 343 give us those modes first. Co-op campaign can wait. If you add these modes, even if we're not getting rewarded, it gives players an additional outlook. Number 2. Please give us cross-core customization and a color palette. I'm not even going to press for Elite customization at the time, even though I'm a die-hard for wanting that in the game. But I know that you guys have so many fires to put out right now, I'm willing to wait for it. That said, I really do enjoy a lot of the customization options in this game. They do a lot of things that look really cool, and stick with the original Bungie art style while incorporating 343 designs. However, the way they've implemented the color palette, let alone the microtransaction store, has really hurt the customization and player expression of the game. I do love the customization, and I could see how the cores could be useful to separating cannon armors from different armors, but it feels ridiculous that I can't put my Mark V helmet on my Halo Reach Spartan core because it's tied to my Mark VII Spartan core. And it feels even more ridiculous because the AI have been shown to have the ability to cross-core customize. So I get people want to keep cannon armors separated from non-cannon armors, fine. If you want to do those cores, do that. But at least give people the option to put cannon armors on their one Spartan versus tying each and every event piece of armor to one Spartan. It gets old and it gets real tiring. Plus, just give us a color palette, please. I don't want to pay $4 for white and blue. I'm currently stuck with just blue in general, which is fine. It's not the worst thing in the world, and I know it's a first world problem, but I think it's just ridiculous that every other game you can customize your Spartan for free. It just feels weird that ever since 343 got their hands on the franchise, it feels like the customization from each game keeps getting worse somehow. In Halo 4, the designs are a bit ugly but usable and the customization was alright. In Halo 5, you only had the armor sets or helmet customization. Yeah, you had patterns, but I mean, you couldn't mix and match if you saw a chest piece you liked with another set of shoulders on a different armor set. And now this. I get that it's free to play and they gotta make their money, but sell us patterns like you had in Halo 5. Maybe sell us Colossi colors, or sell us armor denting, or something like additional things like dog tags hanging off your armor from other Spartans that you're honoring. Just something like that. I think colors just need to be free, and I just think it's absolutely ridiculous that basic things like red, white, blue, green, you get the idea, are all locked behind a paywall. It just feels kind of scummy. 3. Give us ways to properly level up our Spartan based off of multiplayer progress, and give us additional slots for challenges set to events. I'll digress more in a second. What I mean by this is that it's sad that I've fallen into the dark side and gave into only focusing on grinding challenges versus actually playing the game, trying to win, and the challenges just being a nice cherry on top. I'm gonna admit, I've personally been the reason in the cost of 3 games in multiplayer to lose, because I was sacrificing it for dumb challenges. It feels like I'm being a sellout, and honestly, I know it's just a game, but it just feels very cheap, and I hate that I'm stooped to that level. You technically don't have to do this, but with the way it's set up in the grind for your pass, it just feels really dumb. If I do amazing, and believe me, there are some matches where I'm not actual trash, I feel like I should get rewarded for going above and beyond, for being the legend of the Spartan. And then you only get 50 XP because you've already played 5 multiplayer matches today. Do you see what I'm saying? It's really lame. I want to get rewarded for getting those amazing headshots, or getting multi-kills, or even assists, instead of me just being a rubber band player if I really wanted to be scummy, which I'm not going to do, or I don't emphasize. The other part is that I don't like that event challenges take up your challenge slots. Now, what I mean by this is, for those of you that don't know, challenge slots take up 3 spots. 4, I think, if you buy the battle pass. And you can swap out these challenges. You get so many challenges per week, but they should be enough to keep you busy unless you're a real diehard, in which case you might just blow through all of them. But that said, when events come around, they slip in event challenges. And usually these events are based around specific game modes that they're trying to push, which I don't mind, but the example I'm going to use is Last Spartan Standing. Now, it's not a bad mode by any means. I'm just not a fan of it, as I like team-based multiplayer stuff instead of free-for-all multiplayer stuff, but I didn't really enjoy Last Spartan Standing, but that's just me. However, I was stuck with 3 challenges specifically for Last Spartan Standing, and I had no challenge swaps available, which means I either had to do the scummy progression system, where I'd only get 50 XP tops for playing the match, or I would have to just wait, and I just ended up waiting. I got tired of only earning 50 XP. Even though the game's fun, I want to feel like I'm working towards something. And the fact that I'm pretty much challenge locked feels just kind of ridiculous. So yeah, I just kind of hopped back over to like Halo, Master Chief Collection, or probably Fallout or something. So if you're going to do events, which I don't mind because I like the Fiesta events, I liked the SWAT event, or Tactical Slayer event is what they call it now, then give us separate challenge spots, or like at least one challenge spot dedicated to non-event challenges. So that way if I get stuck with 3 Tenrai events, I at least have a regular one if I don't want to do Tenrai. That's just my objection to it. I know some people say it doesn't matter, or just don't play the game, don't complain, but that's just my take on that. Number 4, leave campaign alone. If you want to make a quality of life change that actually compromises the game, or makes it breakable to the point where it's actually hurting the experience, I get fixing that. However, things like flying pelicans, or the tank gun glitch, or certain physics that make the game more fun and enjoyable, and you guys go out of your way to take it out of the game for balance improvements, is not helping you. OG Bungie would have kept those in for the most part, unless they compromised multiplayer or a way that was actually competitive and unfair. But if it was in the actual campaign, they would have probably made an Easter egg out of it, or at least at bare minimum a meme. But nowadays, you guys have so many fires to put out, and you take away features in the game that already feels like it's missing way too many features since launch, and it feels like we're still going to be missing a lot of features until next year. You see what I'm saying? Don't take out features that are fun for people. If people want to fly the Pelican, which is one of my favorite things to do in other Halo games, because I love the Pelican, don't get rid of that glitch. Don't get rid of tank guns, because you will kill the speedrun community, which does exist for this game, and that will drop your player base even more than it already is. Now, I've heard that these changes were reversed, or at least some of them were reversed, but it just feels weird that these were implemented in the first place, especially with the long list of issues you guys still have to look into. Number 5. Lastly, and this is minor, but for co-op, when it's added, give players the ability to play as their Spartan 4s in the campaign and not Master Chief doppelgangers. I really love this ability in Reach, and I feel like it was a big missed opportunity in Halo 4, and you're all playing as the same big green space version. Plus, this would give us more attachment to our Spartan 4s, as all we know about them from Halo 4 and 5 is that they felt very lackluster, and in Infinite, all we know about them now is that they're either dead or we're supposed to be pumped about them coming back and training elsewhere, but we have no reason to be pumped. But seeing those Spartans fight alongside the Master Chief on the ring, very similarly to how you see Arbiter or Elites fight alongside Master Chief and the AI humans in Halo 3, would be a nice touch of variety. It would really give us some sort of attachment to those Spartans. That's just my recommendation. I know it seems like I've been very negative with this part of the video, but that's just because I'm very hard on the game, because I want it to get better. I don't ignore the things it does well. I like the customization for the most part. The flow of the game is really good. The gameplay itself is really good. The weapons are fun to use, even though it feels like a limited sandbox at times. Even though the game does have its issues, it does get an overall 7 or 8 out of me for ranking, because I think it is honestly a step in the right direction. I'm just this harsh because I want it to do well. My buddy, Bambi, that's the code name we'll use, get used to it, says that maybe I'm a little too hard on this game, and maybe he's right. And that's just because I want to see this franchise come back to its former glory. All in all, despite my gripes with Infinite, I still do have hope for the series. For a good chunk of it, it feels like they really do want the game to succeed and move back to Bungie's Halo style. The Master Chief Collection took just shy of a decade to get it to the replayable state it's currently in, especially that they fixed the multiplayer, the campaigns, and added Flood Firefight, which I personally love. But I don't blame people for jumping ship either. In my honest opinion, the game should have been delayed for at least another year, and emphasis should have been placed on Forged or at minimum custom games to allow for replayability. But hindsight is 2020, and all we can do now is hope for the best and look to the future. Because much like the Master Chief Collection, maybe all Infinite needs is time to get through its growing pains and blossom into what we know it could be and should be. It'll never reach those levels of Halo Reach or Halo 3 levels of hype, but at this point the series just needs a win, and once you've hit the bottom, the only way to go is up. But that's just this humble nerd's opinion. So when Forge launches, or if you need more unsolicited opinions, wake me when you need me.